Welcome back to Battle Ready. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have had a good weekend. We've got a long Labor Day weekend this weekend. I'm struggling to believe that we're already at the last Battle Ready of August. And we're sliding right into September. Fall's here. Everybody's back to school already. Just as a reminder, don't forget that on Labor Day here at Addison Church, we'll have our annual Labor Day Sing. We've been having that for probably 30 some years now. Hot dogs are free. All the food's free. We have musicians. We have a stage outside, so bring your lawn chair. Hope you'll have a good time. We usually have a pretty good turnout for that. And anything else I need to mention? I want us to keep our friend Junior Elmer Endicott in prayer. He has a birthday this month, and he'll be 95. And I want us to keep him in prayer. I'm going to probably be sending out some stuff about a card shower for his birthday. I think he would like that. So we'll be mentioning more of that as we get closer to time.
I'm thinking about Mark Coleman, who's very good to post where we are and always make good comments. He and his sister Carol, and he's been in the hospital for a while. Everybody please say prayers for him that he gets up on his feet.
And if Mark is listening, hey Mark, I'm proud of you because what you've been through in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Hang in there.
That's a lot. You know it's been a lot, and I know you're anxious to get out of there, but I think you're going to be so surprised when you do get out, all the things that are different and how much better you're going to feel. I'm thanking God that He's taking care of you. We've been praying about that pretty earnestly now for quite a while. All right, so for everybody, we're in Judges chapter 20. We're going to start about verse 14. Hopefully, we'll get finished with this book, and by the time we finish our session tonight, we'll be telling you where we're going the next time. She's leaving it completely up to me, so if you have a preference and you want to
It doesn't matter. It's all on her.
If you have a preference,
you have to choose.
You might want to just buzz me a message and tell me. Let me know, because I know what I'm thinking, but I don't know that that's right. So, we're in Judges chapter 20. We're in verse 14.
Before we get there, I want to go to Exodus 28 just for a second. Right. We are going to be in Judges chapter 20, but I kind of want to take a moment as we come to the end of this book and talk about where everything all started. So, when God brought the nation of Israel out of the bondage in Egypt, and He's giving them the law, and He's giving them instructions about what's going to happen when they go in the promised land, He summarizes everything through Moses in chapter 28. He tells Moses just before this, I think just before this or maybe during this chapter, he tells him that he's going to die. And this is kind of like God saying, Moses, this is going to be your last speech. It's going to be the last thing you say. And I want the people to remember what you say. And I want them to know that it came from me. This is who I am.
You didn't say Deuteronomy. You said Exodus, right?
I said Deuteronomy 28.
Oh, Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
I said Exodus.
I said when God brought them through the Exodus.
Okay. Sorry.
So that's all right. It's 28 verse 1 says, And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all His commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come unto thee, and overtake thee. And if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, blessed thou shalt be in the city, and blessed thou shalt be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, that's your children, and the fruit of the ground, what you raise, the fruit of the cattle, the increase of the kine, the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store, your pantry. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out, talking about to battle, and in your daily life, in your pursuits. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. They'll run out in disorder. The Lord shall command the blessings upon thee in the storehouses, and all that thou settest thy hand to, He shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee a holy people unto Himself, as He hath sworn unto thee. He goes on to say you'll be the land of plenty. Goes on to say that one will chase 1,000. Goes on to say, like all these goes and goes and goes. And then verse 15 says, But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all His commandments and His statutes, which I command thee this day, then all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed thou shalt be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, the fruit of the land, the increase of the kind. He goes on and on to say, and one guy will chase 1,000 of you. Mm-hmm. And he goes on to say all that protection, all that In other words, God's making it very clear in this last speech of Moses. The law that I gave you is for you. It's for your benefit. It's for your blessing. I'm the king that wants you to have the best. Right? I'm the king that shows you the way. They reject this king time and time again, from here all the way through until we get to where Jesus comes on earth. And they reject that king as well. Right? And in Judges, over and over, they'd have these times of regeneration, and then they would reject the king again. They'd go back to do whatever it is they wanted to do. And here we are at the end of the age of the Judges. During this time, they had the opportunity to be little kings on earth. With God their Father and God their King, they could rule their affairs under Him as if they were, there was nobody above them to tax them, to take from them, to oppress them, to take the best of everything. They ruled their own little empire. And I don't mean to go on and on, but when they divided up the land, every man ruled his own part of it. Right? Everybody had their own.
That's how we got the judges. We could see that.
And now we get here to the end of this time period. And what you found out, I think if we sum it up in one sentence, is without God, they are incapable of ruling their own affairs.
They're never to get it right.
Without God, when they reject God, they make an absolute disaster and bring all these curses upon them. And they get into a condition where even when they try to do right, they do extremely wrong things. Because they don't know what they don't know. They didn't care enough to keep it. And keep it, we've talked about that before, isn't just that you do everything perfectly, because God gave them sacrifices for when they didn't do things perfectly, that He would forgive and redeem. But keeping it means to cherish it, to value it, to know it, to protect the Word of God as if it's the most important thing. They stopped doing that.
You did.
So we started with a priest a couple chapters ago who is a priest for hire, and a priest that just travels doing his own thing, whatever he wants to do, that ends up with the murder of this young woman because he's in the wrong place he's not supposed to be, at the wrong time, doing what he's not supposed to do.
The wrong stuff,
with the wrong relationships.
Yeah.
She's murdered, just to summarize, because maybe you didn't see the last couple. Once she's murdered, and she's raped and murdered because she's not protected by the man that is supposed to be her protector. Right? He sacrifices her to save himself. She's cut into 12 pieces. And she's sent to the 12 tribes of Judah, and to say, are you going to allow this to happen in our country? That this evil, this wickedness that was done by the people of the tribe of Benjamin to stand? And they're so shocked by the horror of it that they cry out to God. They gather together. They're going to stand together against this evil. So I'm going to stop talking now and you talk. But the one thing that this lesson says is that God does hold us accountable
for doing nothing.
It's not just the ones who did wrong that were punished. It's those who would not stand against the ones doing wrong. Because they said, if you just deliver to us the men who did this crime, right? That'll be all. That's all that'll happen.
But they don't.
They'll be punished. But that tribe of Benjamin, that whole section of the nation says no.
We're not going to turn them over to you. We're going to protect them because
they go as far as to say, what did they do that was wrong?
Yeah, that's what
they say. Show us what they did that was wrong. In other words, this woman who was a concubine to this Levite priest, she is so not human to us. She's so invaluable to us that tell us where we did something wrong. She's not a person to honor and to do what God would have us to do. She doesn't matter at all, and we're not going to turn these men over to you. Right? So I know that was a big summary, but here's where we are.
But the big summary includes, in churchese and church words, we call them the sins of commission and the sins of omission. It's just as wrong for you to know to do something and not do it as it is for you to do something you know you're not supposed to do. And that's, we've kind of gotten away from that even in society today. It's like, I'd rather just, and I've said it myself, I'd rather just step back here. But you can't
say nothing, or just say something that's positive,
or say
but
enough to get by, but don't really get involved. And the truth is, we have to get involved.
Maybe one of my favorite prophets in the whole Bible, and he's got a very small section of things to say, is a prophet named Micaiah. And he's the one who the king calls, and he says, "I want to go to war. What should I do?" He said, I know every time I talk to you, you tell me something bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so Micaiah determines he's not going to tell him something bad this time.
He says, no, go.
He said, you want to go to war? Go for it. The king goes, you're lying to me.
You're just telling me
what do you really think? And Micaiah says, if you go, you won't come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so they throw him in prison. But I like the fact that he was man enough to not always say what makes everybody happy and everybody feels good and everybody gets along. He was able to know and seek out God and speak the truth, right? Mm-hmm. And that is such an important thing. It's important to have people who know God and speak the truth.
Right? Yeah,
of all the leadership's things we've learned, right?
That's a manly thing.
Maybe the most important one is that you know God for yourself and you're not afraid to speak up when everybody else is not going to like it.
And they're not on your side.
Because they rarely are.
And how many times have you done that? And you think about it in different places. I think about it. Different places that I've been in, the one person says the opposing idea, and then you find out that half of the room agreed, but they just didn't know how to say that. They were afraid. We do have, that's part of leadership. And you've been talking about leadership. We've been talking about cycles of apostasy. We've been talking about generations. I mean, as we've gone through Judges, we've covered, I think, quite a bit of things to think about, how these things all work together.
Jephthah, what did he say? What did God say? That's what Jephthah would say. Mm-hmm. What did God say? Gideon did the same thing. Mm-hmm. God said it, Gideon did it. Mm-hmm. Right? Deborah said, this is what God's going to say is going to happen in this battle. So yeah, I'll go with you, but I want you to know. God said this is what's going to happen in this battle. All the way through the book, it was the people who would say, I know God myself, and here's what he has to say. And when they would be brave enough to do that, not everybody wanted to hear what they had to say, especially Jephthah. You think about that, how they were fighting against him, his own people, his own tribe.
Gideon's own people.
Right? Gideon's own people. But he knew the Lord. And you have to have leadership that knows the Lord and is not afraid of people, not scared to death of what the person's going to say.
You know, we teach our kids that, though, don't we? We say things like, well, they put their pants on the same way you do. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to what socially people think they are, they do rank themselves. We do have that pecking order that goes on. Oh, you can't say that because they won't like it, or they can't. God is no respecter of persons. Mm-mm. He tells us that over and over.
Why?
He's
because
not a respecter for us.
No, because everything he wrote is for your good. And to compromise it is for evil toward you. To compromise it is wrong for you.
But see, that isn't that.
He wants the good thing.
When you think about that, though, isn't that exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden? He made this all. This is all yours, Adam and Eve. This is all yours. And the little serpent comes by and says, yeah, but wouldn't you rather be God yourself? Wouldn't you rather decide for yourself? And we've never changed. We always think that human nature changes. Human nature
God's
doesn't.
Keeping something from you.
That he's not telling us everything, or there's more out there, or it can't really be just God. Mm-hmm. But here we go. This is the last two chapters, or the last chapter and a half of this book. And I'll be honest, this is a book. This part of the book is hard for me. I've said that before. I won't go into a lot of detail on it, but here we are. People are rising up. They're gathering together because this lady's been sent all over the place, and they're trying to figure out now what to do. So, verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities of Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. Now, first thing I think when I read that, and I'm sorry if this slows us down too much,
it's okay.
But these are family. This is
It's a nation.
It's a nation that's made up of the 12 tribes, mm-hmm. right? They were never supposed to really go to war against each other.
No.
That was not something they were, but here we are. And Benjamin...
They're so appalled mm-hmm. at the depravity of that sin, of what was done to that concubine, that the pledge they're making in there is we're not going to go to bed, we're not going to eat, we're not going to live our normal lives until this is settled, mm-hmm. because someone's got to stop this sin mm-hmm. from being just going on like this is what we're going to do now, right? Because they tried to rape the Levite and the man who hosted him. They ended up being satisfied with them delivering the concubine to them, offering the daughter mm-hmm. of the man inside, and then horribly attacking her, killing her, right? It's such a heinous event that they're saying we're not going to take comfort ourselves until we do something about this. This can't happen anymore. And I think that that's telling, because these things happen in our nation all the time. And where are people that stand and say, we're not going to rest until we stop this, till this is done, till you get law restored and order restored, and the people can walk down the street safely, and the people aren't attacked when they leave their home, that it's not okay that 1 in 3, or sometimes it can be 1 in 4, but it's edging toward 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted in our country. Of all the women, when are we going to go, you know what, we're going to sleep until we figure out how to stop that. Till that stops.
And I want to mention too, we should go back to verse 13 just to bring us to the main thing here. It says, now they go to the Benjaminites, the tribe of Benjamin, and they say, deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. They didn't want a war. They end up with a civil war of sorts, but they didn't want a war. They just wanted to punish the ones who had done this thing. And most of us would agree. Usually one of the things that I would say is, I hate it when we change all the rules because of 3. Take care of the 3 or 4 or 10 or however many it is that are causing the problem. Take care of that and let everybody else alone. But we don't. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They say, no, we're not going to give them to you. The children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. They said, nope, we're not doing it. And that would have solved the whole thing, or at least partially solved it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Verse 15, and the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, and they which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people there were 700 chosen men, left-handed. Every one could sling a stone at a hair's breadth, and not miss. And the men of Israel, besides Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword, all of these men of war. Now, there's always a question about left-handedness. It's just saying they're able to.
But this is the thing. We've got 26,000 plus 7, 26,700 in Benjamin. It's not fair for the 400,000 of all the other tribes to fight against them. That's what they're saying. So the next verse says they're not going to do that. They're going to send them up one tribe at a time, and if they can't take care of it, the next one that's drawn a lot will go up.
And that's verse 18.
And that's verse 18.
Which is a good thing to, I guess, think about. See, so I'll be honest, when we start talking battle and war stuff, I get kind of lost in the details of that. But what they're trying to still be kind of fair to Benjamin, even though Benjamin's the tribe of Benjamin has not been fair with anybody else.
And also to honor God. They're honoring God in the fact that they are going to war against one of their own, and they don't want to do. They don't want to obliterate this part of the 12 tribes.
But
they don't want to, anyway. But they almost do.
Okay. Verse 18. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Does that surprise you?
And it should make the hair stand on your arm, because he's already told, right? He's already told Israel, who is Jacob, that Judah is going to be the one that ends up being the king. He's going to be the one. And when they ask, who's going to lead us in this fight to end this evil, this shame that's on our nation? Who's going to stand up first? The Lord says Judah. Right?
When they travel for the 40 years.
Because the Lord hasn't changed since he talked to their great grandfather. You know what I mean? He's not changed his opinion on this.
It's still the same.
Judah's going to be where it comes from.
And when you think about that, that's
just
how
the consistency of God is what I think about.
They set up the camp that way. They traveled that way all through the 40 years.
God doesn't change his mind about it.
He didn't just decide all of a sudden, no, we're not doing it that way. I think that's a big lesson.
I think the consistency of God is a huge lesson, because the only thing we've ever seen in any of the people in any of these books is inconsistency. But God's consistent.
He never changes.
Who goes first? Judah.
And they kind of should have known that already, but it's good they asked, right? Verse 19, and the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah. Sometimes it seems like you say the same word over and over and over. And destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men.
Day one, they lost.
Big time.
Day one, Judah lost, not Benjamin.
Benjamin didn't.
Judah loses.
Mm-hmm. Which, so you have to start thinking.
How dedicated are we to this battle? How dedicated are we to this fight to restore the honor and the integrity of the nation? How dedicated are we that this is wrong? Because we lost huge. And it was painful.
And we inquired of God, and we still lost.
Now, where was the leadership before that day? Lax, not present, not where they're supposed to be. But on that day, as they step up and lose, and you're shaken down to your core, what do you do now? Do you keep fighting, or do you say, well, maybe we heard wrong? Because God's the one who said go. They prayed and said, do we go? And God said go. So now you're like, well, maybe God didn't mean it, right? But that's not what they say.
And I think, but here's the thing. I think
the first time you stand up against wrong, you're probably going to get hurt. You're probably going to be attacked more yourself. It's going to look like you're losing. But if you're right, and Davy Crockett, make sure you're right and go ahead, right? They make sure with God that they're right. And then they need to stay on the course.
Wasn't it Abraham Lincoln that said something like, we hope this Civil War is ended quickly, but if it's not because God wants something else to come out of it, let him, my words, because I can't remember how I quote it, but he even said that. Sometimes God's doing other things, but whatever it is, he knows what he's doing.
He also said, like Joshua, they asked him which side God was on. Abraham Lincoln said, I pray we're on his side.
That's right.
I pray we're on his side. Right?
Well, it's an interesting thing because right here in most church work and in several of your ministries, you'll hear people say you're not going to have problems. You're always going to win. It's always going to be right. And
if you're anointed,
if this was of God, right? So you would have to, if you're taking that philosophy, you'd have to think right here because, see, I think Scripture is really interesting in the words it used. It doesn't say they just lost. He says they were destroyed down to the ground.
Right.
It's
a huge loss.
That was a serious. I mean, almost everything lost down to the ground. There's nothing. I mean,
there's a bigger thing than a battle between Judah and Benjamin going on here. There's a battle for the soul of the entire nation that's going on right here. And God has said you got to fight it, and I'm going to give you the victory. You've got to fight it. You got to stand and fight it.
Doesn't,
and it's a test of their faith and listening to what God has to say.
But it doesn't look like it's
not on day one.
It doesn't look like that. I mean, you would expect if God told you. I mean, I'm just saying this is where most people get stopped, right?
The Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
That's what it says,
right? You can't be. What did God say? Oh wait. Maybe he didn't mean it. God said go. Now let's see what he says now. Let's go back and let's go. What do you want me to do tomorrow?
Which is it's feelings. So it's kind of like this is a feelings question, right? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't do it because I can hear it. Can't you hear all the rest of them going, well, maybe this wasn't right. Maybe we shouldn't be doing
this. How about
this.
the tribe that's next?
Yeah.
Or how many tribes are going to go through?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Right?
Okay.
See, I think that's a big thought. I think right here we should spend some minutes because just because I had this conversation.
This is more than hard. This is devastating.
Well, and I had this conversation with someone yesterday. They were talking about feeling. I forget the word that they used, but I said feelings. Number one is a problem because our hearts are wicked and deceitful. Tells us that, and we can't go on feelings. We got to go on what we know. And we know this is one of those places where they know what they're supposed to do, but it didn't turn out the way they thought it would, and it's hard. You got to sometimes do the hard stuff, and I hate that because
what happens on day two?
So being destroyed to the ground really kind of breaks my heart that they're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to get everybody on the same page, and so verse 22, and the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. So they did better than me. They said,
They got back in their spot.
no, this is what we're supposed to do. And the children of Israel, verse 23, went up and wept before the Lord.
First, they just asked.
Mm-hmm.
Day 2, they go weeping and fasting. And they realize what this is costing. And they're like, Lord, what should we do? All right, go
Does
ahead.
sin cost? Sin always costs. Verse 23, and the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of
Are you
Benjamin,
sure this is what
my
you want?
brother? And the
And
Lord
what
said, go up against him.
Mm-hmm.
And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and is destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel. Again, 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. So how many are we down now? 18,000, and how many was it? 20 and 2,000?
Over 40,000.
40,000 men.
How about this? Aren't you glad there's a third day?
That sounds like Ryan. And
Aren't you glad there's a day 1? It stinks. There's a day 2. It's even worse.
And
But
now
there's a day 3.
Verse 26. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came into the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. They didn't quit. They didn't run away.
Got more serious.
They got more serious. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? The question didn't change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow
On the third day.
I will deliver them into thine hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you wonder why she's saying the third day, everything has the 3 days. The third day, the resurrection. The first day, the crucifixion.
The day of the crucifixion, the day he died, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful victory,
But
horrible for the people who loved him.
Yes.
What about the second day?
They're
He's in
gone.
a sealed tomb.
And they're scattered
And they're
hiding
scattered
and
to the wind. They're
and hiding.
trembling. Are we next? They're terrified.
But day
It's a
3.
horrible day. But aren't
But
you glad
day
for
3.
day 3? When
Boy,
Judah prevails.
Wouldn't that be
Right,
very
when
cool?
Judah prevails. When it's been a long, hard battle. And boy, did it cost a lot. But we did the will of the Father. And look at what happens on day 3.
And
Right?
there we go. And that's just good. And verse 29, and Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah.
I would say
Gibeah. I can't say it the same way twice, so
That's all right.
forgive me.
But I don't think it matters.
And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day and put themselves in array as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people and were drawn away from the city. And they began to smite of the people and kill as at other times in the highways, of which one goeth up to the house of God and the other to Gibeah, and in the field about 30 men of Israel.
Keep
You
going.
want to interpret that before I go any further?
Nope, keep going.
And the children of Benjamin, where have we heard this battle plan before? We've heard this battle plan before. And the children of Benjamin said, they are smitten down before us as at the first. But the children of Israel said, let us flee and draw them from the city into the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjaminites that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for For the men of Israel gave place to the Benjaminites because they trusted unto the liers in wait which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword.
Keep going.
Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons, for they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to rise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjaminites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjaminites round about, and chased them, and trod them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sunrising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness into the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highway 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them into Gidom, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and abode in the rock of Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword as well, the men of every city as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
Just to quickly put this into perspective.
I think you need to.
What Benjamin is trying to do is, after 2 days of just crushing Judah, they decide they're going to take the battle to the capitals. They're going to go up to the city. They're going to go up to Jerusalem. They're going to take over everything. Right? They're thinking they're going to win. But what they do is they're drawn back out by these, what it says, liars in wait, or these bands of soldiers that they think just might fight on their side. Because they won for 2 days. But once they get into the valley, they're surrounded. And the battle goes against them for the first time on the 3rd day. They're overtaken in the valley. And as they run away, they're so knocked down. The nation of Benjamin, there's just like 600 men that go up into this one spot. They're pursued there. And a bunch of them are killed as well. So now all you have is just a small... Remember, there's 12 tribes and 1 Benjamin. And by this point in the battle, where they've been chased back down out of the city, they've been chased through the field, they're up in the rocks and in the canyons being pursued and slaughtered. We're almost to the point where there's not going to be anybody in Benjamin left, right? God has given a victory. He told him to go up. I'm going to give you the victory. He gave the victory. But they're not all destroyed, right?
No.
There's a tiny remnant of them left. And I think that's interesting when you think about what happens in Revelation, the numbers of tribes and all these different things. You want to study that out later, or you want to talk about that later.
And there's Benjaminites in there, because
there
he goes
are,
and gets them.
And he goes and gets them. But there's just a small little remnant. It is so overwhelmingly lost by Benjamin on that 3rd day. It starts out, they're just as strong as ever. But as they're led back into the valley, they begin to lose. And as they're led into the rocks, they begin to splinter. And you almost see that. That's why we started in Deuteronomy, that 1 chasing 1,000. It's like, right? There's a bunch of people lying in wait around them, fighting against them, fighting together. Judah's the leader. But they're fighting against them as one, and they're working together. And they're not turning because they saw them win for 2 days. They're fighting against Benjamin together. So what you see is that God told them they would win, and they did. In the end. But chapter 21 is going to be, now what do we do? Because see, all these promises that God made are to all 12 tribes. And how is God going to fix this if there's nobody left in Benjamin? If there's nobody left in that tribe, what do we do now? Because we're one family, right? This is a reluctant civil war in a big way, although it's cost an enormous toll of life.
It does cost them. And then always, and it's interesting that it says, and these are all men of valor. It doesn't...
So brave, powerful, young soldiers. right? That are taken out. So what's happening? What are you looking for?
I'm looking Benjamin. Okay, so
this is Jacob's deathbed analysis.
And what I'm thinking about is
Jacob, who is
here's
Israel.
Benjamin, who when he blesses his sons and he tells them stuff. And then I'm thinking about when the kingdom splits. So the first king is a Benjaminite. Saul is a Benjaminite. And then David comes on as Judah. And Benjamin, however little it is, I mean, I've always heard it considered little, obviously, but they side with Judah. They stay with the Benjaminites, and Judah stay together. And I'm thinking it's Judah. I'm thinking it was Judah that told them not to kill Joseph, right? He was the one that said, no, we're not. Was it Judah?
Reuben.
Was it Reuben? I thought Judah was in that too. Judah came back and
Judah comes back and thought he was dead.
Okay,
Reuben says,
right.
don't kill him.
That's right.
Yep.
So I was looking for the blessing of the Father, so I just don't know what it's going to say, so I was looking to see what it said. Naphtali, Joseph is a fruitful bough. Benjamin shall ravin, R-A-V-I-N, as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. That's an interesting
thing for his father to say.
I know it.
Son of my right hand, Benjamin. What's Benjamin going to grow into? A wolf.
Who's going to roar about
ravage
in the morning and devour, and then at night divide the spoil.
Right.
That's all he says about him. And that's crazy. Not crazy, but you know what I mean. All right, so mourning for the lost tribe. So now we got Benjamin, who lost how many was it? 25,000 men
on the third day.
On the third day,
yeah.
And I'm sure they lost some before that, but
and then they lost 600 more. They go up into the caves. When they fight, they've taken an enormous loss.
So this is a little bit of,
and they've been surrounded by the rest of Israel. They've been chased away from their city. Their city's on fire. The city that's like the important one to Benjamin is being set on fire behind them, where they would run to that, but they can't. They can't go back. They can't go forward. They can't hide in the rocks. They're in trouble. And the battle's over.
And really, if they just handed over 10 men.
Do you remember
who the evil
go back
was?
To Joshua's day, and they go and they fight Jericho. God says, whatever you do, don't take anything from this city. It's cursed. Do not take anything. Food, clothing, jewels, don't take anything. Right? And a man named Achan goes in and he takes a garment. He takes some gold, not very much. But he's like, I'm not going to leave that. And he goes and he buries it under his tent. They go up to another battle at a place called Ai, and they lose it. Thousands and thousands killed. Like we're talking right here. Thousands and thousands are killed. And Joshua just beside himself, falls before the Lord. He's like, Lord, you brought us here, right? We had this great victory at Jericho. We thought we were doing what you wanted us to do. We thought you said go fight Ai. That's what we heard you say. That was the next place we're supposed to go. Why would you let us be defeated like this? He said, you've got sin in your camp. And it's costly. I said, don't do that. You did it anyway. Joshua's like, who? We don't even know who. They go through and they go through.
Which is interesting because Joshua didn't do it.
But the nation was held accountable. And that's what's happening here. Benjamin is being held accountable for the sin they won't deal with in their own. Judgment, the Bible says, begins in the house of God. Before we can go out and fix all the world's problems, which this is something that really is hard to get through our thick head. The church constantly talks about the sin of the world, and we wanted them to straighten up and how we can straighten them up and get them to do it the way we want to do it. And do you not realize that that's not ever your job? Your job is to straighten up yourself and our family and our tribes and our issues and to be the light of the world God called us to be. We fight evil not by attacking people who don't know anything, but by living a righteous life in front of them, right? And praying for them and being a light in the world and salt in the world, best we can influence. But I'm not supposed to make the people that don't know the Lord be good. No. It's not my job.
Not my job.
My job is for us to be good. Us to do what we're supposed to do. But it's very easy to attack them. Right?
It's easier than dealing with my own problems.
And look what it costs. Not just Benjamin, but Judah. who took the biggest loss because they're the leaders in this, and they took the biggest loss. And others that fought in this last third day battle cost them, Benjamin most of all, till they're almost wiped out.
There's not
because
very
sin
many
is
of them.
costly, right? It cost Achan and his entire family their lives. Then the next time they went to battle against Ai, they won victoriously. God was with them and he blessed them, but he made them deal with their own stuff first.
There's a couple of things there that I think we are rock-headed about. We are muddle thinking. God means what he says.
And it's not our job to make the world suit us.
No.
It's our job to get our house in order.
And how dare I think I can tell God what he needs, he wants this, but no, you don't really want me to do that, right? You want me to.
What they're saying is, you know what, we think you all need to mind your own business. This sin that we've got on in our nation, they were as equal. The very words of chapter 19 are words God used against Sodom and Gomorrah. That's the state of their tribe and their territory.
It's the very same words.
It's the exact same words for that kind of level of sin, which God said, if you reject me, if you do these things, I'll bring judgment on you just like I did the ones I moved out of here to put you here. Right? He told them that way back in Deuteronomy, way back in Joshua at the beginning.
That was part of the covenant.
That's the covenant we started with. Don't think you can do anything you want when you get there and you won't have the same things happen to you. Right? And the same things are happening to them.
Which is a monstrous warning for all of us.
Right.
Because the things that we know, we need to stop fighting about the things that don't matter and get our own...
And your own comfort and convenience.
And this stuff in order. This isn't about me telling God what to do. This is about God doing what God does. And he doesn't change.
He's no respecter of person.
And he's not going to change it.
They're God's chosen people, but he doesn't treat them differently than he treats
anyone else.
Those that sin before them. You're still going to have to answer for those things that you do. And especially when you defend them. Benjamin didn't just allow these sins to happen in their territories. They defended them.
They protected them.
They're like, we have the right to do this if we want to. Mind your own business. But no, this is our business. We're one nation. We're the nation of God. And he says back in Deuteronomy 28, I didn't read it, if you do this, it's so I make you a light to the Gentiles. I make you a light in the world. You're someone that they're supposed to look to and go, their God's different. Yeah. Right? How's their God different if you act just like they do?
You're not.
Right?
You're not. And I know. It puts a nice little perspective on how we think about our world today, doesn't it? It makes you stop and say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right, chapter 21, verse 1. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mitzpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife. And they promised.
Stop.
Yeah.
They didn't say, now Lord, would you like us to make a vow that we don't take anybody out of Benjamin? Let them have any of our daughters for wife. When the battle was hot, they were seeking God's face daily. They were praying, they were fasting, they were sitting before the Lord and waiting for an answer. They were very serious. But now that the battle's over, they decide they'll make their decisions from here on, and they won't seek the Lord about what they're supposed to do, and they won't think about this thing or think it through. We'll just make it another hasty vow where we'll handle it now. It's like human solutions to divine problems.
Yep.
Or stupid human tricks. Right? Do you remember that from Dave Letterman?
Yes,
We're going to have some stupid human tricks. We're going to have what sounds right to us. And by the way, making a vow is very serious. Making a vow before God is not to be taken lightly. You're not supposed to run off at the mouth. You're not supposed to make promises like that. You're supposed to seek God's face. If you make a vow, you're supposed to keep it. So now what are you going to do? So in their haste after this loss, this hurt, this pain, and this victory, they say, right?
They say, we're
never going to let you marry any of our daughters. By the way, daughters and wives died during this battle and this attack. Daughters and wives. When the city is smoking and on fire and not just the men of valor were killed, but women and children were killed. There's a huge consequence here.
Yes, there is. And the people came, so they agreed. We're not going to do it, right? Verse 2, and the people came to the house of God and abode there till even before God and lifted up their voices and wept sore. So they're repenting. And said, O God of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking? in Israel. And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose early and built there an altar and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Is that odd because we have the tabernacle there? And the children of Israel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to the Lord to Mizpah, saying, He shall surely be put to death. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, There is one tribe cut off from Israel this day. How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing we have sworn by the Lord that we will not give them of their daughters to wives? Don't think God would have understood if they'd have said...
It does say that they do have the house of God there, not just for anybody that, what you said a minute ago about the tabernacle. They don't have a temple yet, and the tabernacle moves. And it tells us back in chapter 20, I looked real fast while you were saying that it was sitting there in Mizpah, but it was allowed to move. When they were in battle, the ark went too.
That's true.
Right, and not just as a good luck charm, as the leading of God and the power of God.
But they built an offering and did offerings. Why didn't
But the tabernacle's there.
So they could take...
So they could do that the way God would have them to do there at the
Okay.
tabernacle. It's with them there in that place.
Okay.
It didn't just sit in one place until you get, like in the book of Samuel, where's Ramah? It stays there because Samuel is there and he's doing his thing there, and it doesn't have to stay there, right? When they went to battle with the Philistines,
so the first
but
thing
it can always move.
So the first thing I was thinking is, where's the priests? Where are they?
Yeah.
Why aren't they building this altar?
I don't know that they're not.
And
I don't
guess
know
maybe
that
that's a good
I don't know
point,
that they're not.
It doesn't say it's who.
Right. It just says that they offered, and it's mobile.
And they could be doing it at the tabernacle.
And 20 says, it says they went to the house of the Lord is the tabernacle at that time. So the tabernacle is sitting there as they do that.
It just seems funny that they came to pass that they rose and built there an altar.
Built an altar.
But there is an altar at the tabernacle.
Well, there's
and offered burnt offerings, which is at the tabernacle. So
it doesn't explicitly say.
It doesn't, but
it can be right at the tabernacle, and
it doesn't say it wasn't.
It doesn't say it wasn't.
So we can't assume that it's not. Okay, I get that. Verse 8, and they said. So wait, at verse 7, when we end, they realize if they don't do something, right,
like human beings do, if I don't do something, God's going to let this fall completely apart. That's what they realize.
Yeah. Because how shall we
God said go to battle. God said go to battle. God said go to battle and I'll give the victory. God did what he said. God did what he said. And God did what he said majorly. And the winning of the victory. And then we say, God doesn't know what he's doing. I got to figure out how to get them wives. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. God clearly was not thinking.
Because
now we're in this shape and we've got to figure out how to fix it ourselves. Like I said, stupid human tricks. We got to figure out how to fix this for God.
Aren't we sad? We're kind of sad. We never learned that same lesson.
But it's very human to look at this mess that we're in now. We can't lose a whole tribe. That'd be like, well, I can't put it that way. I was going to say that'd be like saying we no longer have California in the United States, but it would be like saying, okay, we're not just going to give that up. We got to have all 50 states. We already made the flags. We already sold them. They have 50 stars. We got to keep California. We got to figure this out.
We'll find a new one.
This is why they're saying we can't just not have the 12th tribe. This is our family. This is our brother. What are we going to do? We'll figure it out before God does. We'll make a promise, and then we'll figure out how to go back on our promise somehow and make it work. God never told us to make that promise, by the way, and God never told us how to fix it. And we've never asked him, but we'll figure it out on our own. And the reason I know that all of this is wrong-headed thinking is the way this chapter ends. Mm-hmm. This chapter ends with a phrase that is all through this book and in other places in this book. And they did right in their own eyes.
Everybody.
He's telling you that even after this victory, and they fought against what was wrong, and they set things right, and it was costly and it was painful, they still did what was right in their own eyes. They still trusted on their own understanding. They stopped seeking God as soon as the panic's over, as soon as the dead are buried, as soon as the smoke goes down out of the city. They say, now we got to figure it out for ourselves again. And you know that happens. You run to God when you're in trouble. And then you can get lax on the Lord when everything's fine. That's right? And you're like, I'll figure it out myself, and I'll call you if I need you. Right? That's that
That's
attitude
funny.
toward
It's
God.
weird.
I'll call you if I need you. But God wants to be involved in your everyday. And you'd save yourself a whole lot of heartache if he was.
Because you'd bypass a lot of
And
things.
actually, that's where the joy and the blessing and all the things he promised in Deuteronomy is in his everyday. Being involved with him every day, not just when you're in trouble. But we want to be like, I got it. I'll call you next time there's something bad happens. Right?
And we're still guilty of that. We're still very guilty of that today. What is it? We just can't submit. We just can't admit we don't know things, and God has to be. I mean, we're all guilty. I'm guilty too. But what is it? What, pride? No. Verse 8. And they said, what one is there of the tribes of Israel that came not up to Mizpah to the Lord? And behold, there came none to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly.
Okay, Jabesh Gilead is in Manasseh's territory. When all the nation got together and said, we will not go into our tent until this thing is settled, till we settle this matter of evil in Benjamin, they went, nah, it's all right. They stayed home. They didn't send anybody. So that's why they're saying, okay.
Or they could have said...
Here's how we solve this. We made an irrational vow to not let any of our...
But wait,
women
this group
marry
of Jabesh
Benjamin.
Gilead could have said, I don't want to go fight against my brother.
But they just didn't go.
They just, for whatever reason...
They didn't fight
So
for
again,
Benjamin. They didn't fight
so
against
there's
Benjamin.
another
They
thing
said,
you gotta
I don't want to be bothered.
So there's a place where you got to be careful, right? You can't say this is...
They just didn't go.
They just didn't go. I don't know why they didn't go.
Everybody
That's
got a body part.
Yes, they did.
Everybody got, I know, I'm sorry, but everybody got the same warning. Everybody got the same, are we letting this happen? Is this going on in our nation? Is this where we are? And Jabesh Gilead went, I'm okay with that.
Or I'm just
I'm not going to go to the battle, which is, I'm okay with that.
Or I don't know what to do about it.
She's just a concubine. Right?
I hate the story.
Anyway,
Sorry.
but they don't go to battle. So they say, okay, we all made a promise that we wouldn't have anything to do with Benjamin, but they didn't make a promise because they didn't show up.
So, verse 9, for the people were numbered, and behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. And the congregation sent thither 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, go and smite, the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children. And this is the thing ye shall do. Ye shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that hath lain by man. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man by lying with any male, and they brought them into the camp to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. This book just gets worse and worse, don't you? And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them. You know, they're ready to trust them already, probably, right? And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives which they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead, and yet so they sufficed them not.
Okay, so they got all the women from that town.
400.
After you with us. But that wasn't enough. Because not everybody has a wife and they're all going to die out and they still got to figure out how to face it themselves. Now, I got to correct myself earlier. I said that they were going up to Jerusalem. I misspoke. They were going up to the city where the house of God was sitting, the tabernacle was sitting. I said that wrong.
Okay.
But they were going toward, Benjamin was going to attack that, right? Which is not going to happen. That they were going toward the house of God, not Jerusalem, because they're not in Jerusalem. They were in Gibeah. But anyway, going ahead, so they've got some of the women problem carried in their own way. They figured out how to do. God didn't say do this.
And look what they did.
Okay, so they kill people. They go against that city that didn't go to battle, and these
And this is
women
family too.
are taken. This is family too. They didn't show up, so sorry
We're
about
going
you.
to kill you.
We're going to kill you and take your women. Next,
This just makes me sad.
what makes God sad too? Read verse 25.
Verse 15. I'm at 15, right?
Yeah.
And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, how shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, there must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel. Howbeit, we may not give them wives of our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn, saying, Cursed be he that giveth a wife to Benjamin. Then they said, Behold, there is a feast of the Lord in Shiloh yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south side of Lebanoth. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, Go, lie in wait in the vineyard.
I'm sorry. I was reading this with Richie one time. He's like, how else are they going to do it? I'm like, not like that.
It's like they just keep going. They just keep getting
Okay,
worse.
first of all, why did we go to war with Benjamin?
Yeah.
Because of the way they treated this woman in Benjamin.
And they wouldn't defend her.
And they wouldn't defend her and they wouldn't protect her and they treated her wrong and,
So
and
let's go
abused
kill
her.
a whole village
So now
and
that
get
God
them-
has given us the victory because we repented and fasted and sought His name, and now we're going to figure out how to solve it ourselves by doing the exact same thing to a bunch of women at a vineyard at a feast.
At other relatives.
Right?
Yes.
In other words, boy, do we need help.
We are.
How are our solutions worse than the problems that we started
How can
with?
we not see that they're worse than the problems we started with?
But what's everybody doing? Everybody is not, they're not going, God, how do we get wives for Benjamin? What should we do now? What's the right thing to do about
And
this
he
situation?
might have said,
But
"Get rid of
everybody's
that
doing
stupid
right
vow."
in their own eyes. I don't know that he would, but everybody's going to do right in their own eyes.
He could have made the ones that were there just fertile or something. Who knows?
Anyway.
Verse 20, Therefore they commanded the children of they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, Go lie in wait in the vineyards, and see and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance and dances, then come ye out of the vineyards, and catch you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. God has to be
Kidnap
going.
them.
God has to be going.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall be when their fathers or their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable
worry about
unto
it.
them for our sakes, because we reserve not to each man his wife in the war. You know, we had a war, we lost all the women, we got to have some more women.
And the men and the fathers and the brothers in Shiloh are going, Are you kidding me?
Wouldn't
You
they?
said these men are so vile.
Yep.
And so sin sick and so
Yep,
worthless
yep, yep.
that you won't let them marry any of your daughters, but you let them take ours?
This is a strange book.
Right? So they're going to come and complain and you're going to go, no, it's okay. This is what needs to happen. No, we won't let them marry any of our daughters, but they can steal yours. Right?
I'm all for that, right?
Isn't it amazing the messes we make when we solve these problems in our own wisdom? Mm-hmm. You don't seek first the kingdom of God, right? You trust in your own understanding and you don't acknowledge Him, right? He's not directing their path. They're doing right in their own eyes, and they are doing almost as bad as what they fought Benjamin for. I don't know that it's worse than her death and all that, but it's pretty bad. It's very similar to the idea that we're not going to respect these.
Remember, there's a place
people as
back there
people.
in the
What was God's
in the
design
law.
for marriage?
No, wait. Back in the,
Oneness, cherish.
back in the law,
protection.
if you were a man stealer, that was death.
That was death.
And we're man stealing here.
Right.
Women
They
stealing.
don't know the law. They went away
They
from all
don't even
that.
know that stuff.
They don't even know what they're breaking. Because they're solving it in their own way.
So
Right.
you're not supposed to. Just all kind. It's like that's what we've seen through the whole book is idols and false gods
And not knowing what
and
He
not
says.
knowing what God said. I don't know. We say it so many times. I said it yesterday in a conversation. You got to know what the book says. You can't. You cannot. You can't not know. You can't just be lazy and say I don't. I'll just believe what someone tells me, because you got to know what it says. All right. So they say,
We'll
have
take care
pity
of
on
it.
us.
We'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, be favorable to us for our sakes, because we forgot about the wives and now they have no families.
Yeah.
And verse 23, And the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives according to their number of them that danced, whom they caught. And they went and returned into their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelled in them. I bet that was one happy household. Don't you met all those little households so happy?
I
And the
imagine it was awful.
And the children of Israel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe and to his family, and they went out from thence every man to his inheritance. So we all just
And
went
the
back
summary
home.
of the whole matter.
And in verse 25, and in those days, and we've heard this verse before, there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which is right in his own eyes. The final line in the book of
Yes.
Judges says it all. When we do what is right in our own eyes, look what we do.
I mean, when we get to the next part, when we get to Samuel, we start into the book of Kings and David's story, all these things. What you find is even in the temple of God, the two sons of Eli,
They're not doing.
they
what
don't
they're
know the
supposed to.
word of God. They don't follow what
And
he
Eli's
said.
not making them
From
know
the
either.
and the Levites in this book don't do what he said. They're not where they're supposed to be. They don't know what the law says. They're just drifting. You just see them drifting, doing what they are hired to do by other people, whatever they're told to do. You know what, that drift seems like, how could they, I mean, we've said this a lot in Judges too. We've said, how do they go from these great victories to these stupid
deaths.
defeats and decisions? How do they do that? And we always forget that it's a slower drift than we see in the chronology of the reading. Like, you don't drift that far in a day. You drift that far in a generation. You drift that far in the next generation. And we know that we can see that in our nation. The drift away from what we know is right. How far have we gone from a nation that basically, even if you weren't in church, you knew right from wrong? It was taught in the schools. It was taught in the community. It was upheld. You know, that you respect police officers. You respect the law. Not every police officer is good and not every law is good, but we had respect for authority. That you taught your kids not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal, not to murder, not to go in and with a gun and shoot up a prayer meeting. We knew better than these things, right? As a nation. I'm not saying nobody ever did anything wrong in the past. They did. But there was a greater understanding of right and wrong, and we've drifted. As we've drifted more and more to doing our own, what's right in our own eyes. That's what happened in our nation. We went, all these things, they're old-fashioned, they're wrong. This is the new way to think about it. We're going to do what we think is right. This is the new morality. That's even the term given it. This is the new morality, right? We're going to come up with what's right and wrong for us.
Yes, because it's
For the individual, because it's not universal. There are things that are right for you and wrong for you, different things that are right for me and wrong for me. And what do we get? We get chaos. And doing as bad as you're fighting against. How often do you watch? This really is a thing. You can watch people organize against an issue and then commit crimes that are worse than the issue they're fighting. Right? It happens all the time.
And people will pay him to do it.
It happens all the time. They do see an injustice. They're standing against injustice while being completely unjust. Because when we do what's right in our own eyes, the problem is we don't know what's right.
We forgot. We aren't listening.
We're standing our own little anthill, throwing water in the next little anthill, right? And neither of us have the authority to know who's right and wrong and what's going on. But God has given us graciously
And here is all this confusion and all this mayhem.
what
and
we
all
need
this
to know.
wickedness and all this sin that there are consequences to.
Our
all of
pastor
it.
says this all the time. How do I know what's right and wrong? He wrote it down. Do you want people say, I wish I could hear from God? Read it out loud.
Because it's right there.
He says that all the time. Read it out loud. God has told us what's right and wrong. He's told us what his will is. He told us what he wants us to do. And we go, there must be more than that. I got to figure it out
The problem
myself.
is we don't want to believe what he says.
And
'cause
we
there's
want an
things-
individual interpretation. I want God to tell me specifically. No, God told you. Do what you know and he'll tell you more. He'll show you more.
Yeah. We had
Right?
a deacon here for years and years who used to say, Jay used to say, he's not going to give you more till you do what he told you first. Because your parents don't even do that, right? They don't give you more authority or more freedom or more whatever
You can't,
until
because you'll destroy yourself.
you got to trust until he can trust you, or your parents can trust you with what you're supposed to do now. They can't give you more until you get there. That's a big thing.
And the grace of God and the mercy of God, he could have wiped everybody out so many times. He came to Moses one time and said, hey, I'll start over with just you. And Moses said, like Jesus did, put the punishment on me, right? Put it on me. Spare these people.
I think one of the biggest pieces of this that sometimes we forget, and I think you've said it several times, and it's been over the course of several different books. But what Adam should have done in the garden is took up for Eve.
You should have said, you told me not to do that, and I allowed the situation to happen. Put it on me.
But he didn't.
He doesn't. He says, spare me, put it on her. It's her fault.
Mm-hmm. And then mankind, continually, that's what we do.
Until Christ.
Until Christ.
Who says,
all right,
put it on me.
let's finish this up, and we will join you next week. I'm not going to tell you where we're going to be because
no, you are. I said you have to. She is about to. Everybody, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Next book is what?
Luke.
All right, the next book is Luke.
We're going to talk about
I'm forcing you to a decision. Don't be surprised if we come next week and it's not Luke. But
that's true.
I said you have to choose, so you have to choose.
The reason I'm thinking that is the history of the church. You have some of that in your class.
It'll be fun to tie Luke to Acts.
And Luke to Acts, and that's what I was, the early church and how far we've come since we've talked about how far they are. Let's see how far we actually have come from that first century church. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right. So keep your Bibles out, open them up, read it. I don't care if you just read a chapter a day. Read what it says, and then help. We'll do our best to help you understand what it says because we're standing on what it says. Thank you for joining us. Keep your Bibles out. Stay battle ready.